data. The purpose of this study is to evaluate all possible options for students who purchase textbooks for a class at our school bookstore and determine the best choice available. We will evaluate websites and outside businesses and choose the best alternate for our fellow students at Broward College. Our study will provide the best answers to the questions: what is the price, availability, book buyback program, and student thoughts of all possible options and our bookstore. What is the percentage of students paying for our school textbooks with some type of financial aid or out-of-pocket money? What is the best available book purchasing alternates, if any, for students paying out-of-pocket or for financial aid? Students have recently noticed that the prices of our school textbooks are increasingly drastically increasing. Many feel bound to pay for these books although they cannot afford them. Our country is currently in a recession, and these high-priced textbooks are beginning to more and more burden as time progresses. In spite of these economic times, students still have to find ways to scramble around to make sure that they have their money for their course materials and their books. Many students purchase books from our college school bookstore completely unaware that there are other possible alternatives. There are several things to consider when researching all alternatives. We will consider the price of all textbooks and see which company has the best rate. We will also consider the availability of the bookstore and whether or not their buyback program can assist the students in their decisions. Lastly, we will determine how students feel about their alternatives. We will compare the information to the 4 general requirement textbooks at our school. According to Broward Community Institution Research Department in 2009, school year 62% of students were teenage up to 24 years old, which includes 16% were 18 years or younger. To the surprise, 38% of the students who attended our school were 25 years and up and over 55 years old. Based on these statistics, you can see there are a considerable number of possible working students who would be more likely to pay for their textbooks out of pocket. It is very important that we consider the best options of paying out of pocket. For those who can receive some financial aid assistance for some reason, we will determine the best possible type for the students. Our findings will assist our fellow students in great times of economic distress. We will conduct the research ourselves and provide students with the information to better assist them with their financial concerns. We hope this information will encourage our college bookstore personnel to consider the economic times and make adjustments to fit our people's needs today. Maybe cutting down the profits for the ideal of interest of both our students and the bookstore. If nothing is done about the considerably high-priced textbooks, the students will be forced to pursue any and all possible alternative routes that will be available to them. When purchasing for the class, books for the class, there are several questions that we should consider. First thing that goes to the students' heads are the prices, availability, the book buyback program. Are these less expensive alternative solutions? Why are the books not included in the cost of the tuition? Why are the books mandatory? Does anyone accept financial aid besides the campus bookstore? These are just a few thoughts that go through the student's head. The answer to these questions do vary, but alternative students are simply looking for the best, reasonable, cheap, and reliable way to buy textbooks. After completing our research, we have come to the realization that our bookstore prices are most of the time higher than alternative simply because the concept of business. The bookstore prices are the normal rate required for purchasing textbook. It's not necessary that the colleges and different universities intend and are to take advantage of the students, but this is simply a case of supply and demand. Because the students have a convenient and easy way of getting their textbooks right at the campus that they are attending, our school book card charges normal textbook prices regardless of the competitors' prices. Although this means a great profit for the school, it also means unpleasant prices for the students. It is entirely up to the students on whether or not they wish to choose and purchase these books from the bookstore. Although the prices of the textbooks at the bookstores are normally price ranges, our bookstore charges an extra, mostly unnecessary things in order to increase their sales. Students are currently being charged extra for web-based passcodes, CD-ROMs, workbooks, and other additional required textbooks. After speaking with many guidance counselors and teachers, we have found out that some of these classes do not even need these items, nor are they mandatory. A lot of the classes have PowerPoints where you can view what you're studying. Many students have found themselves upset with the bookstore. After purchasing needless items and unable to get refunds, the student named David, taking an accounting 1 course at college, he purchased his book and an additional workbook that he was told was required by the course. After 2 weeks of attending it, he found out that the professor did not need the workbook at all, because the information he tried to return the bookstore for a refund, only leaving the bookstore filled with rage and being denied. He purchased the workbook for $32. He could not get the refund because the refund date had passed. So he was now stuck with the book for $32 and could not return it because the class would become obsolete, meaning they would need a new book every semester. Another issue we found with the campus bookstore is oftentimes they will only sell one new book that changes every auction, and they will accept no buybacks at all. Many of these books are difficult to find even at other locations. For example, we researched a general required textbooks for general physiology book called Physiology of Everyday Life. After speaking with several different companies, we found that this book will change every 2 years, if not every year. Our student will not buy back this book from students at all. We'll always sell the books new at a higher price. This is one of these situations you might want to research another alternative like Craig.com or Amazon.com or an e-book company. These situations we consider buybacks when the bookstore provides a better deal than others seen in the champion chart. However, there are several instances where the prices of one book from the bookstore could probably purchase 2 or 3 more online. Most students try to sell their books back to the campus at a balance out the high price. You would think you'd get at least 50%. Sometimes you get around 30% of your buyback prices. Many students buy books at the bookstore because they have financial aid. Financial aid, if you're a full-time student, you get $700 towards your books at the bookstore. Although the students cannot use the financial aid in any other location, so they try to use it around. They purchase the books through the financial aid at the bookstore and try to sell back the books after the course ends. For instance, if a student is taking college eligible, he or she would purchase the book for about $24 at bookrental.com, paying out of pocket instead of paying nearly $100 at the bookstore. The savings is $75 and can be reversed to the student anytime after refunding this period. With 38% of the students likely to pay out of college, the student must weigh all options available. Meaning, if you don't have an option to pay out of pocket, most students will go ahead and use the financial aid. Now, if you can't pay out of pocket, then the financial aid would then go back into your account and will be reimbursed whenever the disbursement is acquired. There are many considerations in purchasing books outside the bookstore. Meaning, if you order a book outside the bookstore, you don't always get that book. You don't always get the book in the condition it states. Sometimes this page misses. Sometimes you don't even receive the book at all. Sometimes it's the wrong book. Sometimes the book is destroyed. So a lot of students do choose the bookstore as a guarantee of getting the actual book that is needed for that class. It's always best wise that you communicate with your professor and find out if these books and these criteria are mandatory. And you can go out and find solutions and alternative routes. After researching several different books from the several different companies, we found that the general books are cheaper online than at the bookstore. There are several reasons why each has their list of prices. Our bookstore are having students pay for their convenience in the supply and demand. There are several web-based alternatives that are cheaper than our bookstore prices, but there are not a couple of risks to consider. Now, after considering all these matters, students have been able to make a decision on the option that they best feel is suitable. Now, Lucia is going to talk about the graph.